Right, come on. Do you want a coffee yourself? You know, you look like an expert with that gimbal. I don't smoke, but she gives me a cigarette when I ask her for a cigarette. I'm just talking about you. Thanks. You let me give you this back.
All right, thank you.
I'll pay for this later, right? I'll come in later, right? Okay. Think so. Who do you know? So now this is your project. What do you hope to gain from it?
Well, we're getting an insight on
On what? What are we getting an insight on?
local art, state of art today in Scotland.
The state of art today in Scotland.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, it is funny. I mean, it's like, I don't know whether or not. It's just one perspective, isn't it? Or a couple of perspectives, I suppose. Better than no perspective. I think there's a state of. I think people are anxious. I know that I'm a wee bit anxious.
Even just sitting here.
No, I think that there's a people know that it's like it's the unseen terror, you know. It's the unseen terror, so it's like it doesn't really discriminate. You know what I mean? Doesn't it? Well, it doesn't fucking discriminate. You get fucked whether you've got fucking plenty of money or no money. It doesn't make any difference.
It's classic.
Very socialist condition. Gives to everybody. You know what I mean? Fucking, the great equaliser. It's true. Shall we head over to see Mr. Harmon? Lorenzo!
Aye, Corona.
How you doing?
Alright, mate.
We're not meant to fucking touch, are we?
Right, touch.
Here's the man himself. I was just talking about you. I was just talking about you. I'm good, man. How are you?
Alright, aye, just
Fucking filled with anxiety.
horrible, eh?
It's fucking weird, eh?
Kind of alright, no filled with it, but...
This is you and
What, are you doing
you
this?
did it. This is the boy I was talking. This is the brother I was talking about. I didn't realise he was going to be here. This is. I says, how did I meet Nori? I says, through the master himself, the fucking Mr. Kevin Harmon, like, you know. What are you doing? You doing something with the wheels?
No, I come in every Thursday, it's my Edinburgh day, so
Right.
we're just fucking... There's a couple of meetings this morning and we're just going over the kind of fucking madness that's ensuing.
It's fucking wild, eh?
It's a deep-rooted fucking psychosis that's kind of spread more than...
Ken, what I want to do with you before you start fucking splaffing in, and I need to stick a microphone on you.
Oh, there.
That's alright. Just take a wee second.
I need to stop it, get some weird stuff in the fluorescence.
What are you thinking, Norencio?
What am I thinking, mate? I'm thinking that I'm kind of in the twilight zone, like, as well. Like I said earlier, I just feel that you're kind of trying to make sense of the work that you're doing and the kind of... and the output, but ultimately, like, if what's happening outside is so like where people are completely and utterly like pivoting their mindset to what's immediately in front of them, which is like this kind of you know the virus. You know, it's about people keeping themselves in lockdown. You know, you know how they want to go to a gallery and see art or go to events. I don't care, man. I mean, it's a bit like that scene there for Jaws, Rod Schneider, where he overlooks the bay, and you didn't see the shark, but you can, it's there, and that's the reason why Nailers went into the sea, because of like the irrationality of the sharks at Portobello. You know, of course there fucking isn't it, but it's that kind of visual thing that
individuals instill with fear.
yeah, and it's the same as like the what you're seeing, and you're just seeing little vignettes, but you're getting like, you know, people being carried out in these kind of like ET like fucking biochemical suits and all that, and it's like, you know, where's the crossover from the kind of actual the real narrative that we're all sort of protagonists in now, compared to like a fucking full length feature film. You know, I mean, the cynic in you is like going, they're almost teeing us up through the kind of the films that have been released over the last fucking couple of decades for something like this. Do you know what I mean? Like there's almost like a kind of like, well, you've seen it, you've seen it and experienced it on the big screen, and you're going to experience it now.
She's like, really calm, but I think it's quite nice.
My sister's just done a wee one, so she's just.
We'll keep we'll keep the bit out about the art college fucking trajectory and all that shit. I've no fucking lineage with any of these painters or nothing, do you know what I mean? I'm just carrying on the baton, that's what you need to do. There's a baton, carry on. I'm like, nah, fuck that.
You find that, don't you? You find that people always need to compare. People have that inherent need to compare, and then they'll say, they'll ask like, what's your influences? And it's a kind of like, it's a really sort of insidious way of just them wanting to quantify and understand, rather than actually just accepting something for what it is. You know what I mean? Anyone who asks like, what's your influences, is just to kind of like, craftily trying to sort of, make sense of what you do in a way that makes sense to them, rather than actually just going like.
It does,
you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of, as soon as somebody asks a question like that, you know what I mean, you want to sort of just give a completely rogue answer, really. You know what I mean? That's what you should do. You know what I mean? If somebody asks you that, then just say something completely fucking arbitrary. You know?
I think within your specialism as well, there's this kind of idea that you've got to have the lineage and the you're carrying on with the sort of traditional sensibilities. And for me, it's like, I'm kind of anti-art in many ways. You know what I mean? I actually find art or going to exhibitions completely and utterly no really connecting with me in any level. Do you know what I mean?
And this is an image you've used. I've seen you use it a lot. Which was from that PlayStation advert, wasn't it?
Aye.
About 20 odd years ago.
Aye. Brilliant.
The Scottish lassie with the eyes. It was.
Yeah, I mean.
Which was a cool image.
That was brilliant. I mean, the director, Chris Cunningham.
It was Chris Cunningham that did it.
Aye,
I know.
Of course, yeah.
What
That's right, yeah.
pure genius, like, do you know what I mean? Like, in everything that he's done. And I kind of like, I just thought it was just a brilliant piece of kind of unnerving video art, actually.
The caravan there as well, man. That's like fucking. There was a guy in my brother's class in third year, and he had gone missing, and there was all these rumours. There was always like, oh, we seen Mitchell up the toon, or he'd run away with the circus, or like, you know, it went on for years. Like, I seen Mitchell Warren up the toon and that. And it was like the police had, it was at back at Holyrood High School, where Nidri, that Calvary Park, you know, and there was a caravan site, you know. And about 5 years after he'd gone missing, you know, the police had been looking for him forever. And it was right behind the police station as well. They fucking opened one of the caravans, and he'd been sniffing glue, like, you know, he'd been fucking brain-breed the whole time, like, you know what I mean? I just always like had this, he sort of resonated with me, you know what I mean? That you know, it was like literally a stone's throw for the police station, you know. So, and he had gone into the caravan.
Was that Big Peppermill?
Aye.
That's right.
And he's sniffing glue.
I heard that years ago.
But I just love this idea that for years there was all these sightings of him, like, but the whole time he was just decomposing, like, in this fucking, you know, this fucking hunched up fucking, like, you know, epoxy state, like, you know what I mean? It always made me feel unnerved as a kid, that story, you know, the idea that, like...
That was in the late 80s, eh?
It was,
that's
yeah.
right, because my Uncle Davey, I think he I don't know if he worked somewhere near there, and I mind him mentioning it. I was like, yeah, that's pretty grim, like.
They found him.
Pretty grim.
Been there a long time, like.
Poor guy. Yeah, I mean, the caravans, I mean, they're the sort of motifs that come into the work. I mean, it's just like, for a lot of people, it's like, that's their kind of statement against the system, if you like. You know, we're no longer being part of this, and there's something, you know, there's something romantic about that, isn't there? You know, I think there is.
And what's the story with the image with the bandages up face then?
That's just a kind of a youth, a study of a youth, really. Kind of, you know, identity, and put into again a kind of a landscape that's abstracted. That I mean, that's more a kind of study probably for. I mean, these are both studies for. Well, that was a study for that. As often happens, actually, the works that you didn't think are the finished pieces end up being the work that actually are better. You know, because there's a kind of a freer kind of right. Let's get it established, and then, you know, when you use that and work on another piece, sometimes you can kind of lose that energy. But I think these both work.
No, they do.
As little kind of like just a kind of shift in view, yeah. Lambasted, isn't it?
Well, I like when you were both talking about, you're both reminiscing about in simpler times, you know.
Simpler times of the last 18 months or the last 18 years or the.
It's like, well, basically 20 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, but you could even. I mean, even the way the way that, if you look at, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about social media and stuff, you know, and you're talking like, I don't know. I find that whole when we first started, everybody was communicating on Twitter. It was quite a liberated medium. It was quite an expressive medium, and it had a lot of freedom, and you could do a lot of stuff on it. And it was quite when it was in its sort of nascent phase, it was kind of exciting, and it was quite funny. It was a lot of humour. It was. I mean, there was a time you could pretty much say or do anything, and that's what made it fun. You know, that's what made it kind of mental. You know, I mean, you could I used to make mental fucking images and put them online. You know what I mean? And they would be deliberately just to fucking noise cunts up, and that was the purpose and point. And you know, that's because it was essentially like a fucking pub toilet that you could just scroll whatever you wanted on it, and there was no sense of anybody feeling that what happened there was going to offend them, because everybody accepted that this was just a fucking wall in a fucking pub toilet, you know, and it had that level of kind of freedom. But as the gentrifiers and the controlling, the sort of the consciousness controllers decided to fucking, you know, move in and have dominion over it, you know, and now people have conversations there with each other
that are akin to the fucking sort of the substance that you'd get in a fucking queue in a post office.
Aye, it doesn't.
And you see the people that have maybe got, you got these kind of people with these numbers of followers and stuff, and the tragedy there is that they think that actually means something. They think that if they've got 20,000 followers or they've got 40,000 followers, that means something. It's like it means nothing.
But if you think about the sort of the dopamine injection that a lot of these, the Twitterati get, which is like 100 retweets and 15,000 likes. I mean, imagine every time with a substantial amount of followers, what that does for yourself and your narcissism. Do you know what I mean? Like thinking that actually what you're saying is kind of like the Pied Piper and follow me. This is what I'm right. And if you multiply that by thousands of folk with the same kind of like viewpoint, then the like you say, the smaller kind of localised kind of voice is lost. You know what I mean?
Well, it's that thing. If you've got 30,000 followers and you say something, and then you've got 15,000 followers, and then you basically reinterpret the thing and say, "Oh, I'm going to say my version of this now." It's like you're not saying something new to your 15,000 followers, because the 15,000 followers that you've got are also following the person with 30,000 followers. So you're essentially just repeating the same thing, a post of the same audience. And there's that sense of being able to dismiss people. This person's only got 2 followers or 6 followers, or therefore they have no significance.
Totally.
Which is actually the opposite. I'd be much more interested in the opinion of somebody with fucking a couple of followers than some prick that's performing to their fucking deluded idea of an audience. You know what I mean? I'm much more interested in that.
There's always a lot of animals, and dogs and fucking wild animals, there's always an animal element, isn't there? You seem to, is that particularly intentional, or do you think that's just something that comes naturally, that there's a need to?
Yeah, I think we were always brought up with dogs, so they kind of tend to, they tend to kind of creep in. From my perspective, I mean, we had all sorts of dogs. I mean, the Doberman, when Anna had a Doberman, I mean, bless her, until she was about 65, she was still taking out and get back, Kim. So, Alsatians and Lurchers and all that.
You've also got there's definitely a sort of the more wild kind of thing comes in. What is this, a hyena or something like that?
That's absurd, man. I mean, that's a Tasmanian tiger.
Right, okay.
So I think it's called a thylacine.
Right, yeah.
So I kind of like that idea that the sort of dead as a dodo, the extinct, come back once we're
Off-scale ourselves.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Definitely.
man hunting to that point. These beautiful. I mean, the footage that you see of these, these animals, man. It's like, wow.
But I like the fact you've got them kind of encroaching on the urban landscape as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a friction you get, don't you? I think when you live in a place, or you're from a place that is in the peripheries, in Edinburgh particularly, you've got you've got the schemes, and you've got the kind of the sort of the sort of flora and fauna, and you've got the hills and stuff like that. So, I kind of like that romanticism that you might wake up one morning and there's a roe deer bouncing around the park or something like that. Being hunted down by stray dogs.
I mean, it is just like you can the more you look, the more you see, and the more you want to keep looking. You go on, you can run out of superlatives, really. You know what I mean? But ultimately, it's like you're not. I know you're not doing it to be fucking filleted, but at the same time, it's like you've done a fucking. This is a particularly impressive
effort that you've been doing of late, you know what I mean? And this is, you know, it's fucking, I mean, I've always loved your work, but this just seems to me to be a kind of an explosion, you know, and I don't know what's caused that, you know, maybe because we're subject to such a sort of conditioned and incredibly, you know, banal and mediocre and restrained culture out with these walls, if you like, you know what I mean? And especially what we're subject to when you look on social media, or if you're, you know, just in general, the way that things are presented and, you know, tailored and put together, it lacks any substance. I feel it lacks any substance.
I think with regards the way in which we consume visual imagery now, everybody is much more, they've got a much fucking refined sense of composition. Everybody's taking photographs, and you know, everybody's their own kind of director now. So with drawings and paintings, you're kind of like, you're actually kind of like challenging that. You're saying, actually, hold on, there is still a kind of mark on a piece of paper will still surpass even fucking any piece of digital work. Don't get me wrong, the digital side of things, I mean, I'm working more in the experimental kind of that arena, but you know, the two can go hand in hand, right? The two can definitely go hand in hand. I'm just trying to find that kind of space where you know, between kind of the digital art world and the sort of analog art world, where it can work. And I think galleries and I think institutions that can find a way to kind of make that happen and make that accessible to the general public. I think that's the exciting area. Like, I really do. I think that. But then again, you know, what is a gallery? The gallery is a phone. You know.
But there is no substitute for actually being stood in front of something that's been created and put there on that sort of scale, you know. It's the scale that makes it, and the.
Well, who's got a fucking house this size? You know, who's got a house big enough to, you know. But if you kind of worked within those perimeters, you know, you're supplying work that can fit into a domestic situation that maybe one or two people see, and I think that's the difference between digital art. Is that you can react and relate to something immediately, fucking make it, put it out, and it goes around the world.
Well before the internet and everything, there was a sense of like, you know, that people were subject to the well, it's obvious, you know, you're subject to the manipulations of the corporates and the media fucking interests and all the rest of it, and you're kind of passive recipients of their narrative, and you know, you maybe don't realise it, and you're kind of, the manipulation is so endemic that it's actually kind of like you don't see it, you know what I mean? It's just part of your fucking existence, and that's just, you know, how the sort of consciousness control kind of operates. But what's happened, I think, with social media and the way that that's happened is people are actually willing participants in that. They're actually, you know, they're able to intellectualise that and recognise that for what it is, but they're also so bound to it and wedded to their sort of sense of purpose or meaning within these virtual realms that they actually become conduits for those narratives. They actually continue to pass on. You know, we talked about viruses and the viral and stuff like that, but they are themselves. They become these kind of, you know, these nodes, these conduits for what is essentially useless information.
That's part of the process, isn't it? To baffle you with so much white noise that you know, you've become anaesthetised and aren't able to differentiate between what is actually the right information and what is the wrong information.
Or they stick multiple information together, so you have this kind of like, you know, you have something that's maybe like a provocative or serious subject that's just fucking placed beside, you know, oh, here's a cat fucking having a bath, or here's a fucking woman giving birth in a rabbit hutch, or here's a fucking, like, you know, a dog with a fucking teapot on its head, and you've got all this kind of shite, you know what I mean, that's next to somebody saying, like, you know, we've got this issue of homelessness, or we've got this issue of, you know, we've got some sort of social fucking breakdown of the social fabric, and it's put together in a form that, you know, the idea is that all of these things are being addressed, but they're actually being diluted, because what's happening is they're not being addressed and given any sort of space where those ideas then sort of permeate and percolate within the minds and people start to consider what they are, they're kind of saddled next to something fucking utterly fucking stupid and kind of bizarre, you know? And I think a lot of people...
But that's absurdity, that's what they want. They want there is an absurdity to that juxtaposition, isn't there? Do you know what I mean?
It's deliberate though. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not innocent. It's a
No.
deliberate thing. It's so that they can say, like, you know, oh no, we do take into consideration all these other factors, and it's like, well, you take them into consideration, but then your main fucking interest is advertising or, you know, promotion of something or other. So we only really want people thinking about things for as little amount of time as possible before they're back to their fucking, you know, like their fucking saccharine consumption. And I think that a lot of people involved in, you know, well, not, you know, I think a lot of the participants within the social media are kind of unwitting dupes perhaps to that, you know what I mean? That they find themselves kind of regurgitating narratives and information that really, you know, if they took a step back and thought about it, thought, do I give a fuck about this?
Sure.
Why the fuck am I talking about this? Why did I fucking wake up today and now I'm talking about this? Why the fuck? Whose decision was that? People have lost that autonomy over even their own fucking cerebral process, you know what I mean? And that, you know, how could you not be disturbed by that, you know what I mean? When they pay a monthly subscription for it. Personally, I feel that it's almost like synergy. I mean, you couldn't want for a more appropriate visual expression. We're about to get fucking quarantined. I've never seen anything like this. Well, not that you know, but I haven't seen anything like this, and it conjures feelings. And what more could you really want?
Yeah, exactly.
What more could you really
Exactly.
want? You know what I mean?
So, sometimes you need that. I mean, it's like sometimes you need that. Sometimes you want the visual assault. You want I always kind of think in the pieces is there kind of what sound comes from it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, all these works have been made listening to like the headphones in and listening to. Weatherall, for example, do you know what I mean? And that, and it's like, right, okay, so fucking tilts hat to that guy for, you know, like this work's been made to a certain sound.
Well,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. Instead of kind of modern jazz, you know what I mean, or classical, which can have their, you know, which is fine for some creators, but I like something that's really like a 5 hour set. So I start painting and then I finish within, you know, it's like a 5 hour completing it or there we go.
Morning.
It's great to have you back.
You lost some boy.
It's just reached the super flat, man. It's just like, it doesn't matter what you could fucking... Dean Kavanagh fucking surmised it beautifully in one of his quotes. He says, if Van Gogh was alive now, he'd have to chop off his cock to be famous. There's ability to satirise again, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that was like the one thing that the tsunami of kind of serious commentary. You know, at the same time, we've lost that kind of inability to kind of make some kind of comedic value of it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's like,
absolutely,
you're like,
if you can't laugh, if you can't take that moment to kind of like get that, you know, sometimes there's a pathos in that or whatever, you know what I mean? But if you're denied the right to objectify whatever it is and tear it to shreds,
yeah.
If you're denied that, then you're immediately silencing the fucking artist. You know what I mean? And it's
that's something that's inherent in my work and your work, because actually that's what we, aside for the kind of the more kind of sort of painting and drawing side, there's a satirical element. Do you know what I mean? I mean that's what.
I mean, there's essentially no healthy satire pretty much in the UK, but certainly in Scotland, there's literally, there is nothing. There is not so much as a scintilla of acceptable, decent satire, whether that's a commentary on the politics or the sociological side of things, or the socio-political aspect of the country. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing but very contrived, safe, comfortable, wee titter here or there, you know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing that finds its way out there that's got any reason, in order to, because you can make stuff, but ultimately you really need capital to do things properly, and there's nothing.
But you can't even deploy that rapier wit on social media anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You also have a defence of art that's indefensible. You have people making work that under normal previous conditions would have been ridiculed and laughed out the park. And that's healthy. If you make something that's fucking shite and everyone fucking laughs at you and says that's a load of fucking shite, then the next thing you make will probably not be a load of shite. But if you make something that's a load of shite and then when people criticise it, everybody says, oh, that's wrong, you shouldn't criticise this, that's terribly wrong, you're hurting this person's feelings. I mean, what fucking stage have we got to, you know what I mean, where the fucking, but privately they're going to be thinking, it's a load of fucking shite. If criticising somebody's work or having an opinion about somebody's work is inherently also about having an opinion about them, then we're in a fucking serious problem, man. You know what I mean? And that's what's happened with these mediums, because they're not real life. They're not subject to the same scrutiny as a conversation, for example, like this would be. If you were in a physical conversation and you were in a pub or you were in a situation and somebody started coming out with something that was evidently a load of pish, they would soon find themselves on the receiving end of the fucking acknowledgement that it was a load of pish. But when you've got this sort of strange fucking tapestry of unknown fucking anime faces and fucking, avatars and all the rest of it, all suggesting and giving you a pseudo solidarity, if you like, then it buttresses and gives a solidity to something that's incredibly undeserving of so. And then it becomes about pack behaviour. Then it becomes about, well, it seems like the majority of people feel this way about this, so we better just go with the majority. It's like, this is wrong. This is wrong. The majority of people, this is not an authentic litmus on what's actually occurring here. This is a fraudulent virtual interpretation. This is not reality.
Come out of the comfort zone. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what the fucking come outside, go into a space, fucking, stop sitting behind your fucking monitor, your fucking TV screen, whatever. There's stuff going on.
How do you know when to stop? How do you know when you go, right, that's that? Is that a difficult thing, or does it always just come at a natural point? Or
I suppose when you're working, you're aware of, like, you don't want anything to be too fucking, like, well, yeah, I mean, like painting with oil paint on a canvas, with the brushes. I mean, it's a very kind of bourgeois thing, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like when you see the in the big light airy studio, and I tend to just work with what materials I've got at my disposal. So that might be an old bank card to pens and paper and whatever I can get my hands on to make a mark, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, there isn't a kind of protocol to how an image is made. It just kind of forms and then you go, right, that's it. Okay, I've finished that.